Hi,
Yeah.
hello, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we'll be talking about the National Liberation Day of Korea. This is actually a continuation from where we started the last time, and with me is a very beautiful guest to discuss more on this topic. We already know that the National Day of Liberation of Korea is a day Koreans celebrate their freedom of 35 years under the Japanese rule. And today we'll go further to discuss the issues that surrounded this period. So, may we know you, please?
Yeah. I'm Hyo Kim.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm working at an elementary school.
Okay.
This is my 21st year as an elementary school teacher. And I'm not an expert about Korean history, and
Okay.
especially the recent history is very complicated.
Mm.
Uh,
It's all right. It's all right. You
Mm.
would whatever you tell us is at least the much you know about the Korean history.
Yeah. So please understand
Of course, they will.
my ignorance and sometimes the shortage and my poor English.
Okay.
Mm.
That being said, let us go straight into the questions and
Yeah.
try to know more about Korean. So, I would like to know females.
Yeah.
They actually played a lot of role
Yeah. Right.
during this fight for the independence of Korea. Can you please tell us about these people?
Yes. Think about a wagon. There should be wheels more than two.
Okay.
Just one wheel cannot go alone. And mostly many people think the male that play the main role, but also the female fighters did their important role. I can say they are the fighters who sometimes throw the bomb,
Okay.
assassinate
Okay.
the enemy leaders. And most of them who dedicate to the liberation was a kind of non-violent movement leaders. They gathered the people and then they lead the non-violent movement. In Korean, the example is that March the 1st, 1919, have the kind of a shouting day. Yeah. So usually we call it 3일 만세 운동. So maybe you may heard long live for the king.
Yeah.
Or long live for the majesty. But at that time, my people, they shouted on the street, long live for the nation.
Oh.
Yeah, long live for the nation
Korea.
Yeah, actually, at that time, the name of the nation was not Korea.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
kind of Joseon.
Joseon.
Yeah, Joseon dynasty.
Joseon dynasty.
Yeah, our last emperor was Joseon dynasty.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they have to also sometimes sacrifice their precious life for that kind of movement. So many female leaders, they did their important role. They write some letters to persuade, and then they carried and they spread the kind of letters, and then they very secretly, yeah, announced.
Yes.
So that day we should gather together, and then we have to raise our hands, and then we have to speak out.
Yeah.
Long live for the nation. Yeah,
Yeah.
we are one. So there was a very kind of turning point for Korea. Yeah. So after the movement, uh, Japanese changed their policy to rule Korea. Before the movement, Japanese they brutally ruled Korea
Mm.
by violent way.
Yeah.
But after the movement, they a little bit turned their
Mm.
ruling style. They emphasized we are ruling Korea as a very kind.
Oh.
Yeah. And culture, using culture. Yeah. So and also you can imagine. So for rebelling something, we need money.
Mm.
So many female leaders they raised financial
Yeah, they raised
way.
funds
Yeah,
for the
so
movement.
fundraising.
So were there actually known names of these females who
Mm.
fought during this period? Like I heard the name the Yu Gwan-sun.
Yeah.
Yes.
She is the most famous.
Yeah.
Gwan-sun, Kim Maria, and Nam Jahyun,
Hmm.
An Ho-gyun.
Okay.
Yeah. Especially Nam Jahyun is a fighter.
Okay.
She cut her finger 3 times. Yeah,
Why?
to express her anger toward the international society
Oh.
or to the Japanese government.
Oh.
Yeah. So and then fundraising, and many females they carried their sewing machine, and then
Okay.
they followed the troops, and then they you can imagine they made the uniform
Okay,
for
for
the soldiers,
oh.
and then you can imagine they followed the troops and then cook for them, laundry for them, making the uniform for them, everything. So they are also, we could say they are also the independent fighter.
Yes.
After the nonviolence movement,
Mm.
3일 만세 운동 in 1919, many people were put into jail,
Yeah.
and mostly they are the male leaders, and then okay, many wives should have to support their sons and husband.
Mm.
And then at night they have to sew to make money. And then during the day they make the nice meal
Mm.
for their husband, their father-in-law, their sons, which were put into jail.
Mm.
So they cheered them.
So it's still that motherly affection that females always
Yeah.
carry. You see?
Even though I eat very not good quality meal,
Mm.
they prepared the most uh, nice meal
For their husbands
husband.
and sons.
Yeah. So they also supported in that way.
Mm.
And also there are many education sectors. They also taught many youngsters in they want to taught the youngsters. Education is a good part
Mm.
to make a better country after the independence.
Okay.
Yeah. So as I said, Kim Maria was a teacher at a Supia in Gwangju High School.
Okay.
Yeah. There were many female teachers who
Okay.
support the students.
But this was after the independence, I
No,
guess.
no.
During
Yeah, during
the period. Okay.
yeah. So the at the battlefield and out of the jail and education sector, female
Mm.
is directly
Mm.
joined
Yeah.
the movement.
You know, it's always easy to relegate the functions of women in this kind of situation as nothing. People always count the effect that the men or the efforts of the men and forget that women actually have a big contribution in situations like this. And we just heard from you that they nurtured their husbands and their sons. They took care of them, cooked the best of meals, at least the most they could have gotten during that period, and maybe they will have little and then give them. So women remain a major part of everything we do. And I would like to read this out. This was a statement by one of the women during this period. I read. She said, Japan will fall, even if my fingers are torn out, my nose and ears are ripped apart, and my legs and arms are crushed. This physical pain doesn't compare to the pain of losing my nation. My only remorse is not being able to do more than dedicating my life to my country. These are the words of Yu Gwan-sun, written while she was in the prison. She was captured after the first March movement. And
1990.
yes, she was tortured severally. Only at the age of 17. Yes, she was 17 years old at the time. She was tortured and even told that she was given a lighter sentence if she gave in her colleagues, those she collaborated with, to have started the first March movement. But she did not. A young girl of 17 years old. Let us not forget that she is a female and she stood her ground. And these were her words. And that's alongside so many other females who contributed during this period.
The amazing thing is that Joseon Dynasty. So it was our last loyal dynasty. They were colonized by Japan. And their mental idea is, the Confucianism.
Yes.
Confucianism is that women should not show their characters. They always support a husband very secretly, like a shadow. But to save their nation, they didn't care about that kind of idea. Without nation, there is no people.
Yes.
So said Yu Gwan-sun. Yu Gwan-sun was in a high school. She was in a high school, and she was educated, and she was moved by their educators who really want to independence. So it passed down to the next generation, and then they also dreamed the independence. So pass down.
I was really impressed when I read about this Yu Gwan-sun. Her name stands out among the females who fought during this period to get the independence. So the striking thing about her is her age, just a girl of 17 years old, but carrying out all those deeds and never relented. You just heard her words that I just read out. I guess in all situations, we keep respecting our ladies, our females. They're always a major part of whatever we do. So, something else about this period is striking also.
Right.
Yes. That is the comfort women. Yes. It has been a very serious case for Koreans. And our last guest just touched a little bit on it. I would like you to give us more details about what these comfort women wear and why it is so difficult for Koreans. Like a few I've met, they find it difficult to forget that part of sufferings during the Koreans under the annexation of the Japanese.
There must be some controversial point when we talk about the comfort woman. So comfort woman itself is a good word. It sounds like a good word. So actually, it should be called as kind of sex slave.
Yeah.
Yeah. What point are you curious about?
So I would like to know because how the few Koreans are engaged in the discussion about the sufferings of the Koreans under the Japanese rule. They keep mentioning the comfort women. So it seems like something that they are bitter about. So I would like our viewers, those that don't know anything about this concept of the comfort women, for you to explain better what they were, what they were used for, and any other thing about them.
So, from my study,
Yeah.
Japan has a special system for the prostitute.
Mm.
That is, I heard public prostitute.
Mm.
Uh, Government itself acknowledged the public prostitute.
Mm. The Japanese
Yeah,
government.
yeah, 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 yeah. And then it goes to the battlefield.
Mm.
So Japanese have the idea if there is a truth, there must be a
Women.
yeah woman should be followed, and that is their concept about the sex.
Mm.
So the problem is that the government, military government, the Japanese military government, anyway, they have to settle down the situation among the young military soldiers who wants to have some sexual relationship.
Oh.
Yeah.
So they still think of having sexual relationship while in the war.
Yeah, they think they need.
They think.
Yeah, yeah. And then they said, they thought, so they could bring their own country's woman, but they brought the colonized land woman.
So it was intentional. It
Yeah.
was the intention was to cause harm and hurt to these people. It was kind of a punishment or to lord over them, to lord over the Koreans.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
They don't want to do harm on their own country's
Yes.
woman.
Yes.
They just make use of other countries' women, like Korea, Burma, Philippines.
Okay.
So many countries' women. They were deceived. And another problem is that Japan, they declare. So it was kind of lawful, illegal action. We gave them some pay, but the pay you may imagine is so little.
It's stupend.
Yeah, yeah. They didn't consider the colonized people. They didn't need to. And victims, the women, they said, I was deceived. At first, they said, you will be sent to a factory. Yeah, for making some uniform. Or you will be
secretaries.
yeah. You will be sent to a house to do some house chores.
Yeah.
So they were so poor and hungry, and then they were deceived, and then they were dragged there. They couldn't escape. Yeah.
Basically, it was a sex slave.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Slave itself.
Yeah. It was slavery. Yeah.
And the survivor victims, they say some one night in many sometimes they have even 40 times.
Did you hear that? 40 times.
Yeah. And then I saw the small room. It is like a box, small dark. So the Japan, they also gave small, very tiny space only for comforting their young military soldiers. Yeah.
Now you know that even as women make their contributions in situations like this, they are also the major victims of situations like this. Imagine a woman having been sexed for 40 times.
Yeah,
in a night.
yeah. And then some extreme nationalists in Japan,
Mm.
they say they sometimes fall in love
Mm.
with the soldiers. Who can enjoy with foreign men
I'm
in
very
our
sure that
night?
is not normal.
No, no, no,
There should
no.
be a word for that. As a matter of fact, I mean, psychologists here should know that when you fall in love with your someone who touches you and all of that, it is not real love, for crying out loud.
No,
It
no,
can't
no,
be
no, 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 no,
normal.
no,
It is some kind of a mental
no,
state
no.
that is abnormal. So they couldn't have possibly said that they fell in love or it was
No,
out of
no, no,
view. I
no.
mean,
They
it can't.
live because
Yeah,
they can't
yeah.
die. Yeah, yeah. And there were some problems.
Mm.
First, you can imagine uh, the danger of spreading some sexual disease.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. So periodically, they have to take some medicine.
Mm.
That is, these days it is known very, very poisonous.
Okay.
Yes, medicine. So some compared to women
Mm.
after the liberation day, they hide their past, and then they
Mm.
get married, and some women gave birth to some babies, and
Oh.
then they were so relieved. Oh, nobody knows. Now
Mm.
I can live a normal life
Mm.
as the as other women.
Mm.
But some cases says that grown up
Mm.
children sometimes one day they fell.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. Abruptly, they fell, and then doctor told the comfort
Woman.
woman mother,
Oh yeah.
what did you do in the past? Because
Oh.
in his brain,
Mm.
we could find some very,
Substance.
yeah, yeah, very serious cases
Mm.
related to the poisonous
Substances they took in them.
yeah, 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 yeah. So it is very sad
Mm.
history. And then because of the poisonous um, substance,
Mm.
uh, many those compared to women, they
Mm.
could not bear
Okay.
any children and children.
Okay, it affected
Yeah, yeah,
their.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
I just can't try to even imagine what it would have looked like during this period.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, I just listening to you,
yeah.
I begin to have a mental picture of what it
Yeah, yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
like. When they say women, you might think it was just one or two. An article I read said nothing less than 500,000 of these comfort women.
Yeah, there were so
So many of them.
many. Yeah,
500,000?
yeah.
I mean, the Japanese soldiers.
Mm.
I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
And after the war, about 50 or so
Mm.
survived.
Mm.
Is there any compensation given to these comfort women after the independence was finally
Uh,
achieved?
from Japan or
Either Japan or Korea? Were they?
yes, there were some complicated issues,
Okay.
and we have President Park in 1970s.
Mm.
He was really want to close to Japan because
Okay.
he want to get some money, yeah,
Okay.
from Japan.
Mm.
Yeah, so he was in favor of
Mm.
Japanese
Japanese.
government, and then Japan at the time helped Korea's industrial movement
Mm.
in financially, and then uh, they want to anyway end the it is very reluctant for Japanese, yeah, government to say about comfort women
Mm.
itself.
I heard they
So
denied
yeah, yeah,
they
yeah, yeah,
denied the comfort
yeah, yeah,
women
yeah,
concept.
yeah. And then the first saying in public was in 1991.
Okay.
Yeah, by one compared to woman.
Mm.
Yeah, it was almost after 50 years. Uh, the reason they hide the fact was that it is kind of personal thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, personal shy things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, anyway, I have to hide it. I don't want my husband, my
Yes.
kids.
Yes, to know about it.
Yeah.
Yes. It's always something shameful for women
Yeah, yeah,
who
yeah, yeah,
pass
yeah.
through such.
And
Yeah.
so, uh, 1995, the Japanese government, they declared, so we pay all the losses about the
Mm.
compared woman, and we paid some period, and then it's the
It's,
end.
oh,
They
okay.
declared, but the declaration is only for them, and
Oh,
they didn't do a uh, apologize.
okay. They
So
didn't apologize.
they apologize, and then the prime minister,
Mm.
he never said, "I'm really sorry." He never said. He said just said like this. One of our high position officer
Mm.
told that it is ended in a peaceful way
Mm.
and in a good way, and
Mm.
everyone should acknowledge this. So, um, yeah, the government itself, they don't want to say,
Yeah, they
yeah,
don't want to acknowledge the
yeah, yeah,
fact
yeah,
that
yeah,
this
yeah, yeah,
happened
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and
Mm,
apologize for it and maybe compensate these people.
yeah, yeah,
It's really terrible
yeah, yeah.
to have this knowledge about Koreans and
Mm,
what they pass through. And you can know now that when people say that women are almost always the victim in almost every situation, now you understand that
mm,
really they are. First, we talked about their contribution, positive contribution that are rarely recognized when you tell stories of the Korean freedom. And now we're also talking about they being victims of this period. Stay with us. We'll go on a short break now and we'll be right back. Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. Moving on now, before we went on the break, we were talking about the deeds of women, their experiences, their contribution, and them being the victims of the Japanese annexation of Koreans. And now we want to know, during this period, some Koreans were said to have sold their compatriots, their fellow Koreans, to the Japanese, and some they turned their back against their countrymen and all of that. So we'd like to know these people, were they after the independence was gotten, were they welcomed back into the society, embraced back, or was there any maybe some type of punishment meted out to such people?
mm,
Yeah.
yeah. So the question you asked me is very painful,
Okay.
hard, even today for Koreans, because we could not give uh, punishment
Mm.
who are deserved to should be get the punishment.
Mm.
So you can think that Nazi, Hitler,
Okay.
yeah, the German government,
Mm.
they found anyway the workers who are for Hitler.
Yeah.
They searched, and then some people were put to jail, and they have to say
Mm.
apologize to the people um, who they were attacked. So German, they made it clear, but Korea, we couldn't do that.
Okay.
Yes,
Why?
yes, yes. We made the law in 1948 for punishing the people who helped the Japanese government. Uh-huh. So that is called 반민족 특별법. That is special law.
Okay.
Yeah, for punishing the people who helped the Japanese. But most of the people who should be punished were the kind of police officers.
Okay.
Yeah, they brought the patriotists, uh, and then they torched them, and they brutally, uh, yeah, hit the normal people. And I heard 1/3 of the list who should be punished was police officers.
Oh.
Yes, and there were many, maybe I'm not sure, but maybe 7,000. I'm not sure.
Okay,
Anyway,
it's
there were
alright.
so many, and then also the people who fought for the independence also had the list. So our final step was to giving them the punishment, and then some should be put into jail.
Okay.
And then we have to anyway should end at that time. That was the golden time, but very less people they were put into jail because of the our first uh, first president.
Okay.
Lee Seung-man, Mr. Lee.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm, our first government also need the people who can speak some English. Okay. And who have some knowledge, who are some educated. Okay. You can imagine that. Who are the people? The people who were working for Japanese.
Okay, so that was why you people found it difficult to
Oh, yes, yes.
punish these people
Yeah,
because they
yeah.
were still needed.
Yeah. So the ordinary people, they want kicked out of the bad, yeah, police officers.
Yeah.
But the power, the president, he need also the power to help him, and so he chose the police officer as his helper to maintain
Peace
his
and all
power.
that. Okay.
Yes, so it was not easy for them. And then at the time, the President Lee said that if you say that the police officers as our enemies to who should be kicked out of or who should be punished, then you are our enemy.
So they chose the police officers against the people.
Yeah. Who he wants to maintain his power. He only focused on maintaining his power. Yeah, yeah. And then at the time, the American military government also, at the time, they were in Korea. Okay. They just want to settle down the situation quickly
and leave.
Yeah, yeah. And they didn't care who are the people who are the people will help us. We just want to quit soon. Yeah. So.
But somehow they were serving the country, I guess.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And then the first president he said, uh, now it is not important to punish the people who served for Japan. It's the time for construct our new
Country, nation.
country. So it is not late after building up our new government. But you can imagine, we lost our golden time. And then it has passed almost 80 years. Now, nobody says we can now punish them. Nobody says.
Nobody.
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, we have to educate young people not to repeat
Yes.
the sad history.
So how about those who weren't police officers that were on
No,
the list? Were they punished?
no,
They weren't.
actually not.
They weren't
They
punished as
were
well.
they unified. I'm not sure. So not guilty. They
Oh,
were
charged not guilty.
not guilty. Yeah, because the President Lee need the power.
Hmm.
Who have the experience
Hmm.
can manage the people.
He was just interested in his power and exercising
Mm,
his power. So he basically gathered
yeah, 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 yeah,
any
yeah, yeah,
means
yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
do that.
So nowadays, our presidential period is limited to 5 years,
Okay.
but Lee Seung-man, he wants to do repeat one more time,
Okay.
and he wants to be a president forever
Hmm.
in Korea.
And the people of Korea, what was their reaction to this his style of bringing these people back?
Oh yeah, there were many the uprights
Hmm.
against him,
Yeah.
but he, yeah, you can imagine brutally
Hmm.
he sent his precious police officer
Hmm.
to the site,
Hmm.
and then yeah, many were killed.
Hmm.
So
Even after the independence.
you're right, right, right.
If you ask me, I would say it was a tough decision to make
Mm.
because if he decided to follow what the people were crying for, which is just simply punish these people and excommunicate them, take them off the site and all of that, it's possible that maybe the Korea we have today wouldn't have been, or it would have been a slower process to have gotten to where Korea is today. Because, as a matter of fact, he used these people as a resource. He used them to build Korea again. If he had let them go, it would have maybe been a more difficult process.
Mm.
So I would say it was a difficult decision for him, but he made the one that would have
Yeah.
benefited the people, even though it's not what people really wanted. They wanted revenge, they wanted punishment, but he made that decision.
Yeah.
I think even though everybody wouldn't agree, I think it was a good decision at the end of the day. I would say, yeah, I think so. So another question hangs begging, and that is the fact that the North and the South together as a nation, they fought in solidarity for their freedom from the Japanese.
Right.
But after such solidarity, what then brought their separation?
During the time of our Independence Day, there was some new stream.
Okay.
The Soviet
Mm-hmm.
Union has established, and then the Soviet appeared as a power country. America is also a power country,
Okay.
and this new power country is Soviet Union, and then Korean movement, independent movementers, uh, they were helped from uh, America and Soviet Union also. So the North Korea leader Kim Il Sung, he was he was a communist, and he wants to build his own way in a communism. And there are some people in South Korea who wants to build as a one nation, and some wants to build in a communist way. There were so many ideas which way we should build our new nation.
Okay. So now we know why North and South Korea separated. because at first they fought together, and afterwards there came issues of how to run the country and how not to run the country. So it was basically differences in ideas that brought this separation. Is it still possible to merge?
Unification.
Yes. Is there hope for peace and unification at the end of the day?
Yeah, but so the first uh, dictator in North Korea was Kim Il Sung. Yeah, who was accepted to establish North Korea from Stalin,
Okay.
the communist. And then his son, Kim Il Sung's son, succeeded the power. And they are like a god in the North Korea. And the third, the high position in North Korea, he is now very young, yeah, leader Kim Jong Un. He is, yeah, he is succeeding. So first, the original Kim Il Sung,
Yeah.
the second, his son, and the grandson. He's succeeding, and the government making him almost God. And
Okay.
Kim Il Sung's dead body is still in North Korea. Yeah, yeah. So his his dead day, still many people are commemorating, visit his tomb, and
Pray.
yeah, 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 and then rituals, and remember him. He
Then
is,
they're really treated as a god there.
yeah, 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 yeah. So it's not easy to be unified because they want to still hold their power because they are
Okay.
the king in the society.
And South Koreans don't buy that idea. They don't buy this
And
that method.
even in South Korea, many people are curious about the unification because maybe we should pay a lot of money to make even the economic situation between the South Korea
And the
and
North.
North Korea. So Korea is these days they are within the 10th country who are more welfare. But on the contrary, North Korea is listed from the down.
Yes, they are.
And then they are quite close. And then every year, because of the natural disaster, they are there are so many people who are very hungry, and their industrial base was so out of times, and then so to unificate anyway we have to a little bit make the ends even to get along with together.
North, yeah.
Yeah, but to make the gap filled, we should anyway help.
You need to help them economically
Yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah, economically, and
Yeah.
then uh, the Korean War happened in 1950, 70, yeah, 70, past the 70 years ago, and then we independently lived. Yeah, so there were too long time gap between the two nations.
Yeah.
But um, we don't need to make a full unification like one one leader, one nation. Just united nation.
Okay.
Yeah, like Great Britain.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So we can set one different separate leader.
But it's not going to be an easy thing to do.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
it's not easy. That's
Just
why we are not unified.
yeah.
Anyway.
I could imagine. Even North Korea, they stand a better chance of increasing their economy because if you check on the map, South Korea is almost landlocked with water, but North Korea um, they have a better way to reach out to other countries. They're closer to China and all of that. Yet they have this poor. So it's at the end of the day, you will know that it's not about what your country has or the advantages of your country. It's about leadership. You can agree with me that South Korea, for them to have achieved what they have achieved today, they must have had better leaders at the top who direct things that are happening in the country. Because in the situation where you find yourself, both in the landmass and all of that, you could still find a way to manage it to its optimal point. But when you look at it, when you compare North and South, when you compare what they have, naturally, North should be doing better. But that's not the case today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So every 5 years we have new leader. Depending on the new leaders, the idea,
Okay.
the policy towards North Korea is different.
Oh.
So some government, they are so in favor of North Korea and open mind, but next president close.
Different
Yeah,
different
yeah, yeah.
ideologies.
Yeah. And then the next new leader open and then establish again and give some money again.
And next one will come and
and then close the factory again and kick out of the labor workers and then cut the connecting phone lines. And so it repeats again and again.
How about on individual level? Does it affect relationship
individual which means
like
what does it mean?
Fellow Koreans? Is there a good relationship between North and South Koreans?
Individually, actually, privately, we don't have any
no issues. It's just a problem at the governmental level.
Yeah. So there are some NGOs who wants to help the North Korean people. So sometimes they send some rice and food or some medications, but not individually. It is against the law.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
It is against the rule to help North Koreans from here.
Individually, yeah, we cannot.
Oh,
yeah.
It must be some kind of an NGO.
Yeah, we should. Anyway, there's some official groups.
Okay.
Yeah. So, you can imagine the families who didn't say goodbye even to their families during the Korean War. They thought maybe soon, later, they will get together. And then some people went to South Korea, but the demilitarized zone blocked the people to meet together, and then they never met. Even the family, they cannot still meet.
So there is no free pass from
no
north and to south to north.
No.
Really?
Never.
Oh.
No.
Oh, that must be really painful.
So the many people who are old and then who were separated from their own family, they died. So the number of the remaining people is decreasing. So, and then young people these days, many young people might say, I don't care. The people upstairs, the
Mm.
North Korea,
Mm.
that I don't want to pay my tax to help them.
Mm.
Yeah. So they should remember still the condition of our country is still in the war. We are
Mm.
just relaxing. How can I
Yes.
say?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
relaxing the
yeah.
war. It did not stop. Yeah.
Yes. I could
Mm,
imagine. Personally, do you think there is hope
mm.
for
Uh,
this unification? Do you think there is hope
uh,
for it? Would you want it to happen?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
would?
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
So maybe, oh, when I say yes, maybe there must be some
A little?
hesitation.
Okay.
Yeah. Would it be possible to hug each other
Mm.
out of heart? Maybe it will take time, but still the government and
Mm.
then North Korea and South Korea still have to pay a lot of money to maintain the military. They
Mm.
buy the new weapons, missiles, and then we are still threatened
Mm.
by shooting the missile, developing some nuclear
Mm.
weapons, and then uh, and you said North Korea is a kind of shortcut
Mm.
to go to the Europe
Yeah.
and Malaysia,
China.
China, and then Korea. South Korea has developed IT power nation, and North Korea also has a beautiful landscape
Mm.
and some natural resources.
Mm.
So, and this is personal thing.
Mm.
As a mother of a son,
Mm.
every mother has a fate. Should send his precious son to
Okay.
the military.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the parents were worried about the condition in the military. Yeah,
Okay.
so are they feeding well? The problem is that we don't know when is the time. We don't need to send our precious kid to the
Oh.
military.
Okay. Okay.
Mm.
So far we've been listening to some of the issues in details.
Not in details.
In details, I must say, issues that occurred during the period of Japanese annexation of Koreans.
Mm.
And I would like to know, how is this day actually celebrated? Was
This
anything
year,
significant this year?
actually not special one, but this year,
Mm.
the 2020 Olympic Games was held in Japan. Korea won 8 gold medals. I'm not sure,
Okay.
7 or 8 gold medals.
Mm.
We were the people in Korea were so cheerful
Mm.
when we watched the glorious moment.
Mm.
So when we looking back on the past,
Mm.
sometimes we cannot express our happiness
Mm.
because we are colonized.
By
So yeah, for example, marathon Son Gi-jung, the
mm.
runner, he joined the marathon in Berlin Olympics.
Mm.
He won the gold medal, but with the flag of Japan.
Mm.
And the national anthem was Japanese national anthem. So he was given a pot, maybe olive tree or
Mm.
something, the pot. He was given a pot, but he should hide the
Oh.
national flag. So that is our sad story
Mm.
also. But these days we can,
Yeah.
yeah, be
Happy
happy
and
as,
proud.
yeah, as we want to do. We Koreans once we lost our land, but
Mm.
we get back, and
Mm.
then with the national flag of Korean national flag,
Mm. At this
we
time.
were, yeah, stepped on the gold medalist place, and
That must have
then
been
yeah,
very.
and then put our right hand on our left heart, and
Mm,
then we can sing out loud our
mm,
national anthem. So thankfully, um, even though the COVID-19 situation
mm,
mm, is not that good these days, but still we are going through the hardships, and then
mm.
we are still doing good.
Yeah,
And especially this Independence Day in 2021,
yeah.
I felt some thankfulness,
Okay.
yeah, toward our ancestors
Mm,
who devoted, sacrificed their lives to save the country, yeah, to hand down the
the freedom
Korean,
we
yeah,
are
freedom, Korean
enjoying now.
peninsula. The
Mm,
amazing thing is that even though there was 35 or 36 years of the Japanese rule,
yeah.
we didn't lost our language.
Mm,
We have own language. Yeah. So our national flag, national anthem, our national language,
mm.
we retrieved
God
everything.
told
Yeah,
us
yeah,
back.
yeah. So,
That must have been very important because during that
mm,
period,
mm,
the
mm.
Japanese, they tried
Yeah, yeah,
to
yeah, yeah. Destroyed.
subdue
Yeah,
your
yeah, yeah.
culture, your
Mm.
language,
Even the
and
name, they
mm,
forced us to change the name in Japanese style. Uh,
yes,
anyway, we kept.
yeah.
Uh,
We learned from our last guest that even some Koreans today, the old Koreans, they still know how to speak the Japanese language. Yes, yes. Because during that period, they
mm,
were forced to leave their
mm.
own language and then learn
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Japanese
Still,
language.
there are some
Uh,
residue of Japanese colonies.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Many things are related to even today, but we are slowly overcome the sad story and moving toward the bright future.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's been
Oh.
it's been a great time with you, and so far I'm sure we've learned. I'm
Mm.
sure for me, I know I've learned a lot about Koreans today and things that happened during the Japanese annexation of Korea. And I hope you learned too. And if you would want to learn more about Koreans, and if you have any questions about the liberation of Koreans from the Japanese, please send your questions in the comment section below and we'll try to reply. And if you missed the first video on the National Liberation Day of Korea, I will also link down that in the description box. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for
Uh,
coming. I really appreciate. I hope to see you some other time.
oh,
Bye
yeah.
bye.